If you already know what the new 151 is, feel free to skip ahead to today's designs using the chapter markers below. For those who don't, the new 151 is a project to redesign all 151 original Pokémon. My friend Infinipede and I started it all the way back on Pokémon Day 2016, and this year we expect to finally finish. We stream about once a month along with our newer collaborator, Banana Meteor, to share our process and get some on-the-spot feedback from our viewers. And then we post the finished art on my Twitter and on our Tumblr page, new151.tumblr.com. Link in the description.
You could keep that the way it is.
Yeah, sure, why not? In this video series, we look back on our designs to go over what needed to change about the originals, what the new concept was, and how we're feeling about them in hindsight. Today, we're covering Voltorb and Electrode, which I took the lead on, Exeggcute and Exeggutor, handled by Infinipede, and Cubone, Marowak, and Kangaskhan, again my designs. I'll get into why I grouped Kangaskhan with Cubone and Marowak in a bit, but first, Voltorb and Electrode. Their basic concept doesn't need to change. They're classic RPG mimics. You think you're getting loot, instead you get a fight. But visually, they are quite boring, so to add another layer of interest, I was inspired by an old theory proposed by Birdkeeper Toby and Hoops and Hip Hop. I won't go into all of the aspects of the theory, I'll put the link in the card and in the description. You can watch that video if you want. But their idea was that Voltorb are Rotoms trapped in Pokeballs, so my take on Voltorb is essentially Rotom Pokeball form. Voltorb is just a Pokeball with some Rotom-style plasma around it and a pair of eyes. When it's at rest, without the eyes and the glow, it would look almost indistinguishable from a regular Pokeball. The eyes actually took a lot of work. Originally they were going to be very Rotom-esque eyes, but in the end we went with blue plasma eyes that float in front of the Pokeball. When it evolves into Electrode, it develops more into its own thing. It's reoriented itself, it's grown, of course, and it's modified the body into something more unique. The ball button is turned into a proper mouth, it gets little spikes on the top and bottom, and it isn't so angry anymore. I get that they kind of look more like Voltorb and Rotom fusions, but I still love these guys. I'm very happy with them, and I also think the art itself turned out great, even though it doesn't totally fit the Gen 1 watercolor aesthetic. Next up, let's hear from Infinipede on what they had in mind for Exeggcute and Exeggutor.
Exeggcute is just eggs. Look, it's supposed to be seeds. It doesn't look very much like seeds. So I thought with Exeggcute, I would make it look a little more seed-like by having the green and brown from, young and adult coconuts respectively, as well as giving it some grass elements with the little quote-unquote hair, as well as the eyebrows, and some more psychic type elements to show, again, more that it's a psychic type with the wavy pattern, as well as the pink and the third eye. I like the cracked egg a lot. So I think this was actually your idea, Libris, that for the cracked egg, the little hair coming out of that one, it should be a straw, so it looks like one of those drinks with the half of a coconut and the straw coming out. I thought that was pretty cute. Exeggutor, it's a design that I like, but it suffers from a lot of the same issues as Exeggcute. Its psychic type is not obvious. I wanted to change that, as well as making it look not just like, oh, here's like 3 Exeggcutes and now they have a body. For its face, I went with the look of a young coconut, which kind of have a puckered end. It gave it almost like a more animalistic and dragon look, which ties nicely into Alolan Exeggutor's dragon typing. We gave it a pink wavy pattern to keep that psychic type in there, as well as keeping the third eye. I also wanted to make it look kind of, jungle-like, with the even smaller growing coconuts looking like maybe earrings or the earlobes of mystics. I also made the leaves larger and more floppy. I just thought that looked kind of nice. And of course we gave it a tail with those same small seed-like coconuts on them, as well as more animal-like legs. And that's just to tie in again a bit with Alolan Exeggutor, as well as with the new look of the head. I like them. Exeggcute, it's simple, it does what it needs to do. It doesn't detract too much from the simplicity of the original design while actually adding to it. And I still really like Exeggutor. I think maybe it's a little too animal-like, but I personally like that. This was a thing that we worked on in the stream about how much neck to give it, because I like that Exeggutor is based on a shorter version of the coconut tree. That, like, Alolan Exeggutor is so tall because it's growing in an environment that it is supposed to grow in, whereas our Exeggutor is, like, just the Cantonian Exeggutor. Somebody, like, took a small, like, coconut palm and brought it over to Japan. It is a little silly looking. I think we just kind of went with what worked the best at the time, and it's something that I think I would need to, like, go back and really think about in order to change.
Now, Cubone, Marowak, and Kangaskhan. I think this is the first time that we're going off of Pokedex order, but it was important for me to group these three together because even though they don't share an evolutionary family, it's pretty clear to me that they are related, and so I wanted to make sure they were redesigned as a set. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on the evidence. I have this whole video from a few years ago talking about their relationship, and I just wanted to make some intentional parallels between their designs. So I decided to make Cubone and Marowak based on kangaroos, the kind you'd think of when picturing a kangaroo. Cubone is a small joey that uses a found skull and bone for protection. Marowak is a lean and powerful adult that is well adapted to its bone weapons. Kangaskhan is based on a tree kangaroo, a related species that is smaller, pudgier, and lives on trees. I like the idea of using the smaller animal as the basis for the bigger Pokemon. It's very fluffy, with the fur and patterns referencing armor and the armor place of original Kangaskhan. It's meant to soften the design to make it look more friendly and motherly. Cubone and Marowak have cracks below their eye holes that are meant to represent tears to emphasize their motif of grief. They also have marks on their forehead. Cubone's is just a crack, while Marowak's is an old and yellowed battle scar from headbutting other Pokemon. It has a bit of a Pachycephalosaurus inspiration thrown in. Kangaskhan also got a star-shaped mark on its forehead to parallel Cubone and Marowak. They also have very similar eyes with the same color. Marowak's tooth necklace mirrors Kangaskhan's neck fur, and it has a spike on its back where Kanga has several, and a line on its belly to represent a vestigial pouch. I think these new designs make it very clear both that Marowak does not evolve into Kangaskhan and that they are closely related species. I've been excited to design these three since the very beginning of the project, and I'm still really happy with how they look. I hope you liked today's designs. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. We're really excited to be on the home stretch of this project. We just posted Electabuzz and Magmar, which you can see on our Tumblr, and in February we'll be taking on Tauros, Lapras, Magikarp, and Gyarados, so make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can join us for that live stream. We're probably going to pick up the pace a little bit on this video series, so if you're a fan of the new N51, this should be a good year. Thank you for watching, and a heartfelt thank you to those of you who support me on Patreon or through YouTube channel memberships, especially luxury patron Ethan from Chicago. I'll see you in the next chapter.